Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Cup of Joy. I'm your host, Ariana Joy Christie, and I am so glad that you are here. This is a space to inspire, to learn, to grow, and to challenge. Get ready to fill your cup and spread a little joy along the way. Ashley Freeborn, founder, principal, CEO of Smash and Tess, mom of two, really an overall powerhouse. Welcome to Your Cup of Joy.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to having followed along with you for years. It's so cool to be on your podcast.
Wow, thank you. The feeling is mutual because I've been following you for quite some time too. So I'm so happy to have you here and to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's chat. I can't think of a better way to spend my Tuesday afternoon than having a chat. Yes.
Amazing. Well, let's get right into it because I am a huge fan of Smash and Tess. Wearing Smash and Tess right now.
Yeah, you are.
What else would I be wearing? And I can still remember my first Smash and Tess romper, and it's in my closet still.
I love
from like
that.
years and years and years ago. So quite amazing. I just think you guys are amazing. And I know that you weren't always in fashion, which to me is wild to have this huge fashion brand and to not always have that. So can you tell us a little bit about your career before and really how Smash and Tess came to be?
Yeah, I mean, I say this often. I think that the biggest gift for our upcoming generation is being able to see and entrepreneurs, right? And I think like when I was growing up, to be an entrepreneur meant something very different. It was like, do you own a store? Do you own a restaurant? You know, what is it? We didn't get to see entrepreneurs in social media in the way that we see them now. I mean, everyone is essentially their own boss, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And so growing up, when I wasn't great at school. My parents went through divorce in my high school years. I was definitely a little lost. And the only thing I was pretty good at was English and PE and drama. So when I graduated, I was like, it took me a while to get my shit together. And I was like, well, what can I do with the things I'm good at? I could become a teacher. And so I went and I remember my mom at the time being like, babe, you should do like marketing or business. And I was like, that's too scary. Like I need a pension. I need benefits. And my dad was always like, you know, get something stable and be able to like pay your own bills. I'm not paying your bills, you know, like when you get out of university, you're on your own. So I was like, okay, I'll become a teacher. And, you know, I really flourished doing it. I loved it. I taught high school. Was better at teaching subject matter than it was at like really little humans. So I taught in university a bit. I taught in high school. I taught theater and English, and I taught street involved kids. And I did that for 10 years. But I felt that something was missing, and it certainly wasn't a connection to community, because that I loved, and I loved throwing big shows, and I loved being a safe place for kids, you know, in high school, and somewhere where they felt accepted and where they felt celebrated and they could be themselves. And so that part of my job I loved and actually parlayed into Smash and Tess. But it wasn't filling my cup. I was working till 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, gosh, imagine if I just worked for myself, what I could accomplish. And I went through this very tumultuous time in my life where I called off an engagement, and I decided, my mom and I always had this dream. We would make the most amazing pajamas is how it started. And her and I would all year spend January 1 all the way to December, 25th planning our Christmas pajamas. And it was just something we both loved. And if you don't know, I'm the Smash and my mom is the Tess. So that's where the names come from. Yeah. My mom is Mama Tess. Her name's Teresa, but Tess is Victorian for Teresa, and Smash was my nickname for Ash. And so when I was going through this tumultuous time, I was about 9 years into teaching, and she was like, go study at the Conde Nast College of Fashion and Design in London. They had a summer crash course, try all things fashion, and maybe we could make our pajama thing a thing, you know? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And I learned a lot about myself in that summer, mostly that I loved business, and I was older than everybody. Everyone was fresh out of uni. I was 31. And that's where Smash and Tess, I had a really great lecturer who saw something in me for Vogue. And she was my first consultant, helped me with my business plan. And it was that validation that like, oh, your idea is a good idea. And that would 2 years later become Smash and Tess. And it didn't have a name. And it was this idea that women deserved to have clothes that they felt comfortable in, that they felt that was ethically produced, that was responsible, that celebrated all shapes and sizes. And there was no romper in my first collection, and it was pajamas, and there was no romper, and
Come
that
on.
was spring of 2016, and not a lot of people know that. And then
No.
the first fall collection, we created something called the Sunday Romper, and it just, I think Jillian Harris shared it, and it just took off. And overnight, I was like, oh my god, am I actually doing this? Like, it went from being like a hobby to
Yeah.
being a thing quickly. And through that, I immigrated. I moved to LA for a different job, and I had all this other stuff. But Smash and Tess really, I'm very lucky in that it really took off quickly, and we pivoted into what we know as a pre-order model now, which is
Mhm.
sustainable batch production. And the rest is history. It's been 8 years since we've been in market, since 2016. So I had no
Wow.
formal training in fashion other than a 2-month crash course. I had no formal training in business, and made tons of mistakes along the way to prove it. And but I always say, it's not that far off from teaching, because what I was doing in teaching was I was building community and togetherness and inclusivity and like really love. And that's what I enjoyed, was that community. And so then I was like, well, I want to do fashion, but I want to do it, I want to be more than that. I want to be an online space for people, for women, to feel celebrated and
Mhm.
seen. And I'm so, I knew I was a really good cheerleader. I'm like, I could do that. Like, I can hype anybody because I see just the beauty in every woman, especially. And I was like, how do I, parlay that? And so that's really where Smash and Tess was born. And since then, I'm so proud of just the community we've all co-created, and
Mhm.
this this really healthy and happy space where, yeah, we talk about tough stuff sometimes, but we really celebrate each other, and we're that person that's like, hey, should I wear this? And I'm that person that gets to be like, hell yeah. And we all do it for
Yeah.
each other at Smash and Tess, and I think that's special. I think that's what I'm most proud of. Yeah.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah.
cannot believe that you didn't have a romper in your first
No.
collection, because to me, I know Smash and Tess as rompers. Like that's
Yes.
something that I feel like really took off, and now you see other brands do it. Like I feel like you were the first brand that I knew that
Yeah.
really had rompers.
In that way, yeah, and that sort of like, that was our niche, right? And I
Mhm.
think yeah, now other people are doing it. And but I think, no, it was just, honestly, and I always say this too, is it was this moment of like, okay, I only made 80 rompers, and it's all I could afford, and they sold out, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? And so it was that decision. It was like, well, what if I turn on pre-order and then I make them to order?
Mhm.
And that's how really we were born. It was like, well, and I could have stuck with like what I thought Smash and Test was going to be, right? Like, it could
Totally.
have been like, well, no, I'm not like, I'm doing this. But it was like, no, no, no. Clearly, women want these comfortable one piece outfits.
Mhm.
And it says a lot about, everyone says, it calls it that romp so hard moment of like, oh my God, I was wearing all this and then I put this on, and I'm like, yes, like this is,
Yeah,
and it's not about men, and it's not about anyone else other than ourselves, right? It's pure
totally.
decadence in the best way. It's like all about self-love and taking care of ourselves. And so I noticed that. I was like, whoa, this is a thing. Like,
Mhm.
women love this. So it's like, okay, new colors, new sleeves, new necklines, new like, and just leaning into what did our community want. And people tell us at Smash and Test like all the time. They're like, I want this color. I want this
Yeah.
sleeve style. And if you're listening, right, and you can channel that into to styles, then then you really create this beautiful dialogue, that, and you
Totally.
create stuff together. So we call it community led design in a lot of ways, because it's like
Huh.
they're leading it. Yeah.
I love that so much. And I think that feeling resonates so much with others. One day I had a long day at work and I was wearing heels and a tight bra. And I got home and I was like, I need to rip all of this off. And I was like, I feel like other people feel this way. And if they don't, it's quite funny. So I
Yeah.
made a video of it, and it was shared so many times because it just hit home to people that like you just want to get into your comfies right away. So I think it's so neat that you have items that you can kind of merge. Like I feel like I look great in things
Yeah,
that feel like pajamas, you know? Some of my
exactly.
husband's favorite outfits on me are
Yeah.
just as comfortable as pajamas. So
Exactly. And our
it's so
sign
cool.
when you walk in into our headquarters, it's bra off, hair up, romper on. Because it's like
Yeah.
that's it, right? You're like, get it off. It's like anything constricting, hair is up, and it's like rompers on, and you're just like, yes, like
Yes.
that is
You can
it, right?
learn
It's
how to
that
be
moment, and
that.
we deserve that. But to your point, it's like you actually can wear that though out. And that's what we've been trying to do since the first romper is like, how do we create clothes that you can have that romp so hard moment all day? Like you're
Yeah.
not waiting for that moment to be comfortable. It's like we're actually trying so hard to give you an array of things to wear where you feel
Mhm.
just as comfortable and beautiful, but you get to wear it all day. Yeah,
I
anywhere
love
you want.
that so much because I think confidence comes with how you feel, not always just how you look. And so it's neat that you've translated that. I think that's so amazing. And so something that's really cool is that you've done an incredible job of social media marketing, using unique ways to market products, things like collabs, even with celebrities, people of influence. How did that come to you? How is this idea born? Because I feel like now it is commonplace, but when you
Yeah.
started doing collabs, I feel like that was pretty kind of ahead of the ball. How did you come up with that unique way to really get your product out there?
Yeah, I guess it was, like I feels like all such a blur to me, this whole like
Yeah.
like I'm like, but it was, I guess. And I remember our first collaborator was Jillian Harris, and I remember being so scared and going to her. I mean, like, is there any chance like you would consider doing something with us? And she was like, yeah. And that was really the how it took off. But I think what I've learned over, and you've got to love it. And here's the thing, we do so many collabs, but we do so many because I genuinely love it. Like there is
Aw.
something about working with other women and creating stuff that is like so fun. And sure, like it's a marketing tactic and it works really, really well because you're leveraging each other's communities, which I love. Like why not?
Mhm.
Why would you not want to help each other grow and build your businesses? So that makes so much sense to me. But it's also just like super fun. And sometimes like I collab with everyone for different reasons. Like it could be
Mhm.
that I just love your energy online and I'm like, can we do something fun together? Could
Aw.
be like your style icon, like I remember Jam Gamble like just being so funny and being like, I want to Smash Tess collab. I was like, who is this person? I love her. I'm like,
I love
I
her.
want to do a collab. And I think at the time she had like maybe 15,000 followers or something. And it
Aw.
was a lot smaller, but I was like, I don't care. I'm obsessed with this human. Or like Jamie P was like my fashion icon. Like I'm obsessed with everything she wears. And I was like,
Yep.
oh, I want to do a collab with her. And like, so it's all different, right? Like the
Mhm.
reasons why. And it just works for us. And it's fun. And it keeps our customers on their toes. And everyone can relate to different collaborators or different
Mhm.
brands. So it's like, some people are so excited when we do Iskra because they've long said she was a first, plus size model. Some people are obsessed, with when we did Jamie Karoma. They like people resonate with different things. So for me,
Totally.
it's like, why not? Why wouldn't
Yeah.
we work together? Collaboration's queen.
I agree for
Yeah.
sure. And you've had all of these unique marketing ideas. And I think you really think outside of the box. So it's neat to hear the motivation that comes behind that. And
Yeah.
even for me, like I was a High School Musical fan all of my life.
Oh
So
yeah.
and Disney was it. So when Hilary Duff came out, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This just like
Yeah.
brings me back to my childhood. And so immediately I was like, need to purchase. So I think it's cool that each person that you have really connects with,
Yeah.
there's someone for everyone and a piece of clothing for everybody. So that's really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your cup of joy is brought to you by my go to snack, Humble Potato Chips. Not only are these chips the perfect snack, they are also a female founded Canadian company. And the owner, Alicia, and her family started their business here in Guelph, Ontario. They are the only certified organic potato chip brand in North America. An even bigger bonus, Humble Potato Chips are sustainable and they are doing good. For every bag of Humble chips sold, they remove the equivalent of 2 bags worth of plastic from nature and the ocean. The team then turns the plastic into eco bricks and are building homes and schools in underprivileged communities. How stinking cool. Enjoy your favorite snack and know that you are doing good when you purchase. Do yourself a favor and mix my 2 favorite flavors, ketchup and barbecue, for the best snack ever. Enjoy. Would you say is like the most unique marketing campaign that you've done to date, or something that you're like the most proud of, in terms of
There,
marketing?
yeah, there's been so many cool things that I think a lot of our cause marketing, I had a stint in the NICU with my baby, and I
Mhm.
love every year it absolutely fills my cup to spoil NICU moms. And it's like something that when I was in the hospital with Stella, it was in July of 2020, which was the height of COVID, and it was grueling. It was horrible. I'm still dealing. I was actually DMing with Parent Like a Pediatrician, and I was explaining things to her, and she's like, "It sounds like you have trauma from NICU." I'm like, "Yeah, I think I do. I think it's like almost 4 years later, and I have trauma from that." But part of my
Mhm.
healing process with it was honestly like I got this stress ball when I was there, and it was Independence Day, and I was in LA in the NICU, and it was something so small. It was just a token, and it was from a family that had graduated from the NICU, and there was something that brought me such hope from getting a family that had been in there, and it just said, we've been there and there are brighter days ahead, and you're going to get out. And I remember just being like, that just, it didn't matter about what it was. It was just the token of that. And so every year, some of our cause marketing, that's my most important one, is we give back to moms in the NICUs. We usually pick 3 NICUs, 2 across Canada, one in the US where Stella, they took such good care of Stella. So I always go back to Cedars where she was there. And we give mamas care packages. And I would wear my romper into the NICU, and moms, nurses, everyone's like, "What are you wearing right now? What is that?" I'd be like, because we were all recovering, leaking, like the baby's
Totally.
attached to wires and shoving them in Stella lived in my romper like a little, like it was like
Oh,
her little pouch. She would live in there, and I would zip her the Jillian Harris romper over top of her,
oh my
and she would
God.
sit skin to skin in there all day. And so I love that. So any of our cause that brings me such joy, and we don't make any money off of it, and I lose money, but I love, 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 love doing that. But some of the other cool stuff is just like, how can I remember we did this really cool International Women's Day where we partnered with female artists, um, and they designed really cool patches, and then we made denim jackets out of LA, and then these California based artists got to have their own jacket, then we sold them and they made proceeds from it, and like so
So
that was just
cool.
a fun thing we did to like support other women on International Women's Day, and working with those artists and like was such a cool experience for me. So
Mhm.
I'll say I get to do what I want to do, and sometimes I don't get to do enough of it, and that's my biggest
Mhm.
complaint. But all of our marketing is, to me, so freaking fun, and it comes literally from us jamming on, like, we'll have a call with my team and we'll just be like, what do we feel like doing? Let's do that. Like we're just
I love it.
like we just come up with ideas, and there's no red tape. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. If it falls flat, it falls flat. Like
Yeah.
I remember our first mystery box being like, people aren't gonna buy like stuff that they've never, it was like the
And
Hunger
look at
Games.
it.
It was like they were gone in literally like 7 seconds, all of the boxes. So,
Oh my
you
God.
don't know until you try. And I think that's the part of entrepreneurship I love, is like, let's try. Let's see. If it fails, it fails. Who
Totally.
cares? Yeah.
And I think that's such a cool take home for everybody, is that like, what's the worst thing that happens? So what if
Yeah.
it doesn't work?
Yeah.
I think as long as there's passion and meaning behind what you're doing, then it will resonate with
Yeah.
somebody. And I think it's so neat. I remember seeing some of the videos of you, or of Smash and Tess giving items to people in NICU, and it had me like losing it. I'm a NICU mom also. We spent a whole month in NICU
Oh
with both of our twins and in between hospitals for some of that time, and it was,
my
like
God.
you said, like so traumatic. I saw a trauma therapist afterwards because I was not well, to say the least.
Right.
Um but I think that's so special, and I have a lot of my community came to be, I think, while we were going through that journey. I kind of used my social media a bit as a journal, which was
But
healing for
didn't you
me.
find that there was like such great, beautiful connections out of that, like from
Like
sharing
the
on social?
most incredible. My take home now always is that there is so much connection in storytelling. By sharing what you're
Yeah,
going through, not only is it healing, but you do connect with people and you make these relationships that are like next level with people you've never even met. Like that connection is so strong when you've experienced something similar,
yeah.
especially something like NICU during a pandemic, because that is just
Well, because also
so
it's like,
different.
how many people in your network know what you're going through? Not a lot, right? Like there's not a
Mhm.
lot. So when you open up that pool, I found those people sharing their NICU stories with me to be so much more helpful than even my mom, you know? Like I
Yeah.
was like, I needed them to tell me that it was going to be okay. Like I needed their stories. I needed to
Mhm.
know that there was an end. And so I'll never forget it. And so, to your point, a lot of my community also like really
Yeah.
rallied. And I feel like I really grew around that time. Like it got really, because I think that's all we want, right? We want a place to share our stories and connect and not feel
Yeah.
alone. And so
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
the
the
not
beautiful
feeling
part
alone.
of
Yeah,
social
that's
media.
the biggest
Yeah.
piece is feeling like you're not alone because I always imagined motherhood to be this thing of like so many people around you and with
Yeah.
you. And it was the loneliest I had ever felt.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, sharing and knowing that you're not alone, I think is just so special. And what a cool thing that social media is to be able to connect with people who have gone through something similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that that is so incredible. And someone messaged me about a year after I had experienced NICU time with the twins, just a stranger online, and they had said like, "Hey, a friend of mine is had just given birth to twins. They were in the NICU. They're going to be there for a long time. So they
Mm.
say, what is one thing that helped you get through that time that I can do to support my friend?" And the thing that I said is something that was personalized and comfortable for me and for baby. So someone
Mhm.
had gifted me something to wear. It said mama on it. So I just felt like so special wearing it. I felt, motherhood is such a weird concept when it's not exactly how you imagined it.
Yeah.
And so when you're in the NICU, you feel so different. And then something for the kids. One of the nurses had made something with the kid's name on it. And I just remember seeing it and like bursting into tears. And I'll
Yes.
never forget that moment. And so
Yeah.
how special that you can give that to somebody who's experiencing NICU time. And look at you, like the stress ball, me with the name tag and a
Yeah.
sweater. Like those are really things that those people remember for the rest of their lives.
On the NICU front, do you ever? So I don't know if you have this, but the other day, so I had this bag, and you were there during COVID as well, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we would go, and I had this backpack, and this backpack had Lysol wipes, it had masks, it had like basically just like what I would take in a day to go and be at the hospital all day and camp out. And I was working and running the business. I actually brokered my Hillary Duff collab the entire month I was at the NICU.
No
And
way.
yeah, I was working. I mean, she was right there because I was in Beverly Hills. So I was like, well, I'm going to take advantage of this proximity. She thought I was actually, I think that's what got me the deal. She was like, when she found out I had a kid in the NICU, because she's such a power mom, she was like, who is
Oh,
this woman? I want to meet her. So I did
wow.
that all during that Stella being in the hospital. Um,
Wow.
but it's so funny the other day, I guess what I did is when we stopped going, I took the bag and I just like I put it in the closet
Mhm.
and I once in a while will unearth it and I'll open it and I'll smell it and it's like the Lysol wipes immediately I jar back and I'm like, oh my God, because if you remember, it's not just like, is my baby going to survive? It's also like, am I going to survive? Am I going to give my baby COVID and then hurt her, or worse yet, I get COVID, I can't breastfeed, I can't be there, I can't see her for 2 weeks. Like, the fear, the added layer of the COVID was just like
Totally.
next level. Like, it really was. So, I have
Yeah.
lots to be grateful for. And I'm happy that, I now can be a part in some small way of some of these women's NICU experiences. But better than there's really nothing you can do in that moment for a mom.
It's
Um,
so true. But
yeah,
all of those little pieces do make such a difference. And it's very interesting to me that, like you said, the smell of things sometimes can just bring you right back. Driving
yeah,
past the hospital, it's a huge reason why I had a home birth with my second pregnancy because
right.
I would
Couldn't
drive
do it.
past the hospital and hold my breath like I couldn't breathe.
Yes,
It was so wild. And even now,
yes.
like I make it a point every year on their birthday to go back as part of my own healing. Like it's selfish. It's not necessarily giving, even though I bring a gift for them. It's wild. So
Yeah,
I
there's
definitely
a
connect with you through that.
I know. And I think next year we're going to have to give to your NICU. Maybe that will
Oh,
be the right. We should
I
line
would
that up.
love that. That would
Yeah.
be
And you can
so,
take
so
them in. We did
special.
it with Holly Horvath in Saskatchewan. And like,
Yep.
yeah, we're always looking for someone new to be able to like offer that gift. But yeah, it like when I still at Cedars, I go a lot. That's where I have Crohn's and my care is out of there. And I will sit at that, intersection and just like I can't breathe. And for the first, because of COVID, this was the first year I was able to physically go up and take the
Oh,
NICU packages to my social worker who's still there and who's amazing. And
wow.
I just like I didn't even realize, like I hadn't gone up to the floor, and I was up at the floor and I'm looking and I'm just
Oh,
sobbing. Like I'm
yeah.
sobbing. So I think you don't know, you don't understand the NICU until you're in the NICU. And that's the part nobody can
Totally.
prepare you for. Like even when, I'm sure it was the same with you, my neonatologist was like, so when baby's born, we're going to take them to the NICU. And you're like, yep, okay, good. You're like, okay, well then what do you want to do? I'm fine. Take the baby, take my husband. He's going to go. And you could, and then it happens. And for you, it sounds like it was your first, which
Yeah.
that, I
Wild.
mean, both ways suck, because your
Yeah.
first, you're like, this isn't what I thought. And then on your second, you're like, I know what this is like, and this is not
Mm.
it. Like, I remember being like, the nurses bossing me because they have to, and being like, don't tell,
Yeah.
like, I'm a mom. I know what to do to take
Oh,
care of my baby. Like, I've done this
yeah.
before. Like, you don't,
Yes.
and so either
No,
way
either
is
way
just
is terrible. So
not.
awful. Such a wild experience. But I
Yeah.
just love that you've taken something that is so traumatic. It really is, and taken
Yeah.
it and made it something so beautiful and are helping other people
Yeah.
who are going through that too. Brings me to my next piece. So, this podcast is called Your Cup of Joy, and it's because I just feel like I have a mission to support people, especially moms, in practicing self care. As a NICU mom, especially, like I remember sitting in the NICU and holding my pee for like 3 hours because I didn't want to scrub in and scrub out or not be able to come back and see my baby. Like our needs are really, really put last. And I feel like I always had this vision of how I would be as a mom. I wanted to be the perfect mom. I knew my whole life I wanted to be a mother. And so when given the opportunity, I didn't want to ever do anything except be a mom. And I think that just did a disservice to myself, to my kids, because I
Yeah.
wasn't able to show up as the best version of myself. And I believe by practicing self care, it helps you be that best version of yourself in all aspects and areas of life. So, as a hugely successful owner of an amazing company and also such a good mom of two, how do you prioritize self care? And is that something that is important to you?
If you knew me, you'd be like, this girl does not take care of herself. Because I really am not good at it.
Mhm.
Because I think I get great joy from caring for others, but that has also
Mm.
really hurt me over the last little while, and I am trying really hard to. I think I'm complicated, and maybe most of us are. I don't know, but it's not enough for me to be home with my kids. It's not enough. It's just not enough for me. And I think I knew that. I think my husband knew that when he married me. Is that I'm
Aw.
not. I just need more, and maybe that makes me selfish. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. Um, but I was a daughter of a very hardworking mom who, wasn't there to pick me up from school, who wasn't there to come to my sports games, who wasn't. She was working and she was building a career.
Mhm.
And I wrote the foreword to her book that she wrote about women in business, and it was really about how uh, there's a reason why I'm the first to put up my hand when someone asks for a volunteer, or who's going to be captain of what team, I've never thought there wasn't something I could do,
Mhm.
and it's because I watched my mom do it. She didn't just tell me that I could do it; she showed me what it meant to have passion and drive and go after the things that you want to do,
Mhm.
and that comes with sacrifice. Both sides. And if people, I always think if people are like, how do you balance it? It's like, there's no balance. There's not for
Yeah.
me. For me, there's no
Mhm.
balance. There's like, it's about what am I willing to give up in that moment on that day, and what do I need? And sometimes that gets out of balance. And when that gets out of balance, that's when I feel really unhappy. And
Mhm.
that's when I struggle. And so it's about keeping that's balance to me is like, what am I sacrificing and when?
Totally. Yeah.
It's not like this perfect, like, like I have it all. I'm just doing it all. Like, not the case.
Mhm.
And somebody will always, and it's like my daughter today, she's like, I don't want to go to aftercare. I'm like, well, I'm working, babe. So like, you're going to have to go to aftercare. And
Yeah.
that makes me feel bad because a lot of the other parents are picking up their kids at 3 o'clock and I'm not, but I'm working. And so,
Yeah.
and I'm teaching her that. And I just stay strong to be like,
Mhm.
no, I'm showing her one day when she wants to go after her passions and do what she wants, she'll remember me saying, babe, I'm working for our family and working for our legacy, for our business. But I think with that, you get out of whack. And I have 2 chronic illnesses to prove it,
Mm-hmm.
because what happens is I don't listen. My brain's saying you're stressed, you're stressed. My body is not listening. And so I go and I go and I go. And then my body breaks down. And so it's like, it happened when I was doing my master's comp exam when I was 28. I got acutely sick with Crohn's disease. The diagnosis came out of that. It was just so much stress. My body, and the irony is my thesis was around finding joy through arts and through the
No
arts. That
way.
was my thesis and education. And meanwhile, I was completely neglecting myself. And then after my kids, I did it again. I've been so stressed with my business of late. It's been a really tough macro environment. And I've been challenged in ways I've never thought I've been challenged. And bam, there now I have type 1 diabetes. So I'm not great at being proactive, and sometimes it slaps me in the face and knocks me on my ass. And it's like, okay, so little things really digging deep to go, well, what makes me happy? I love creation. That's what makes me happy. So like I've cut my nails and I'm playing the guitar again. And
Love it.
that to me makes me feel like I'm only thinking about that. And I love singing, even though I'm not that great of a singer. I don't really
Oh,
care. It's like, for me, it's about singing and creating. And so I'm
yeah.
leaning into those things where I can turn this off, put my phone
Mhm.
down, and just be as present as I can. And I'm looking forward to being back in Canada this summer. I love dirt bike riding. I find when I'm going hard, I'm not thinking about anything, and it's giving me the rest I need to then recharge and go.
How cool
And
is
so I'm looking
that?
for, yeah, my dad and
Wow.
I grew up dirt bike riding, and we're talking about, what bikes are we going to get and where we're going to go. I, and I'm also just feeling this intense need to be in the Pacific Northwest. It's where I was born and raised. It's where my heart is. I want to be by the ocean. I want to be near my family. I want to be like, so I think what happens to me is I get so full that like I can't, and then I have to reconnect to whatever joy it is. And sometimes it's really forced for me. Like it's carving it out.
Mhm.
It's like being very intentional about what I'm going to do with my time. And it's not, I wish I could say it's like, oh, just being with my children brings me joy. And it does, but like
Yeah.
I also need to put my own oxygen mask on. Right. And so
Yes.
for me, I don't know if it makes me selfish or complicated or what, but I've got to take care of the things that I've got to take care of that part of me, and so yeah, so I'd say that I'm finding my joy. I am not by any means the pinnacle of that, and I definitely, if you people that know me know, I don't take care of myself enough at all, but it's something I'm working on.
You guys know that I am a huge Smash and Tess fan. I've been wearing Smash and Tess for years. I still even have my first romper from them. I love the quality and the comfort of Smash and Tess, and I love that you can dress the pieces up or you can keep them casual. They're great for work and they're great for home. So whether you want to try out a romper or go with a dress, maybe even pants or a blazer, Smash and Tess is the place to go. You can visit smashtess.com and use code YourCupOfJoy15 at checkout to save 15% off of your order. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I am sure you will. Again, that code is YourCupOfJoy15. I hope you enjoy. I love that. And I think that what's really cool is that self-care, like I think in our heads, we have this thing of self-care is like, oh, doing a face mask or going to a spa. And those are not things that I enjoy. You
Enjoy.
know, I
Yeah.
like being busy. I like working. I like being in our community. I like connecting with people. And so
Yeah.
sometimes people will say that to me, oh, you're so busy. How are you balancing it? Just like you're saying. And I'm like, well, no, those are things that for me are self-care. Those are things
Yeah.
that I'm choosing to do for me because it brings me joy. And yes, I love being with my kids, but if I have other things that are making me happy, then I can be better for them in the time that I have with them.
It's
So
so
I think
true.
that yeah, and I think that's okay. You know, we're sometimes told that we have to really want to be with our kids 24/7,
Yeah.
and then we're just sometimes lying to ourselves
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
becomes more you're having to schedule everything and do all the work all around enjoying that time with them, and sometimes you learn to resent that, and that's not good either. And I also resonate with what you said about balance, because I told you I went to a trauma therapist after I gave birth to the twins. And I remember saying to her, I think I was like 4 or 5 months postpartum, and I was really missing working, and I was trying to find a way to be able to do that while trying to breastfeed and do all of the things. And I said to her, I'm having a really hard time finding balance. And she laughed at me. And I thought, who do you think you are? Like, I was like angry about
Yeah.
it. And she was like, you will never have balance, because no two things in your life are ever going to be equal, and balance is equal. You have to find a blend. So now whenever I say, oh, I'm just trying to find balance, I recorrect myself and say, I'm trying to find the right blend for this time. And that
Yeah.
may look different every week of my life.
I love that.
So
And, I also got a really good advice from a therapist too about how, because I was like, I can't meditate. Like, I don't understand it. I'm like, I don't want to sit somewhere. Like, give me facial. I'll sit there bored
I
45
know,
minutes an
I'm
hour.
in
I'm
my
like,
thoughts.
yeah, I'm like, can you just wipe this shit off? I have so much to do. I'm like, this is not enjoying. You're clogging my pores and I want out of here. Like, that's
Yeah.
me. And she was like, what I recommend, she's like, what do you like? I'm like, well, I love going in the shower. Like, I shower twice a day. Quick showers, not like my husband showers. I'll be in there for like, I don't know what he's doing in there. But I'm like, I'm in the shower and I'm out of the shower. But she was like, okay, so when you're in the shower, all I want you to do is be like, think about the water hitting your head and how good that feels. And then you're just thinking about everything you're doing, whether you're scrubbing your hair, you're rinsing it out. In those 2 minutes you're having your shower, think about every little thing that's happening in your shower. And that will give you this mental break of like, and it's true, it's a form of meditation, right? And we often think meditation is like, we have to be like, oh, and go to this higher like level of relaxation. But actually it's just
Totally.
about letting you let your mind rest by being present, right? That's what
I
makes your
love
mind
that.
rest. It's just
Yes.
whatever you're doing, sitting here talking to you. I
Mhm.
knew coming on, I was like, I'm feeling tired. I've checked in with my body. I'm feeling hungry. But I'm like, I know that when I get off this call, I'm going to feel good because we're going to be in a conversation. And when I get off, I'm going to feel energetic and I'm going to feel like someone's just breathed life back into me for the rest of the day. Right. And
Mhm.
what is it about that? Was because we're just incredibly present with each other. We're listening to each other. We're talking to each other. We're not thinking, oh shit, I got to schedule this thing or I got to pick up my kid or I got to,
Mhm.
right? Like we're just
Totally.
here and we're now. And so if we can find moments, even if it's for a minute,
Mhm.
30 seconds of just being like right here and just enjoying it. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
working on too. I thought it was really good advice, especially for those like us who like to be busy. Like I was like,
Yes.
that I can do. You want me to
Yes.
think about the water hitting me for 30 seconds? I'll do that. I can do that. Yeah.
I'm gonna shower tonight and do exactly that. I'll let you know how I
Yes.
feel. I love
Yes.
that though, because you're right. We do have this like I think of meditation that's going for like half an hour, 45 minutes. I'm like, I'm never gonna do that.
Never.
But
No.
that is so
I tried a
amazing.
meditation retreat for my friend was really into meditation. I'm like, I'm in. I'm going to do it. I need to be better. I'm going to like. I slept the entire time, which apparently that's a thing where like if you are new to meditation, you will
Yeah.
sleep. And I did. And I don't even
Oh
sleep.
my
So maybe it
gosh.
was good because I'm like I don't sleep regularly, and I was back of that class, passed out from like the entire time. I was like, well,
That is amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it.
yeah.
I I need to try it.
Hey, maybe you do need to force yourself into that meditation to
Maybe
sleep.
add it to my list.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I want to touch a little bit on a post that you made a couple of days ago, Ashley.
Sure.
You posted about World IBD Day. I know you mentioned earlier that you have Crohn's disease and type 1 diabetes. And I just thought this was such a beautiful post. And, sharing that it was an invisible disease. And I think that's something that we talk about a lot in terms of mental health, different types of diseases. Sorry. It's that we don't see it from outside. If someone breaks their arm, we say, oh, what happened to you? Oh,
Yeah.
are you okay? Oh, do you need help? But with these invisible diseases, we don't. We just
Yeah.
think, oh, you look great. You're a good mom. You're working hard. You
Yeah.
have a business. Like, keep going, keep doing you. And so, despite it being invisible, how has that played a role in your life, in your business? How do you manage that? And have you found connection in sharing? Because I just found
Yeah.
it so beautiful, and I saw lots of people sharing it.
Yeah, you know what? I struggle with that. Like because I'm not a talker when it comes to like if I need help. I'm not good at that. I'm there for my friends and I'm there for other people. I really struggle to vocalize when I'm not doing well. And I often go to this place like, well, I'm going to fix it myself. Like, I don't need other people to fix it. And quite frankly, I don't really want their opinions. And so I go to that place most of the time. And so what I found is I feel very uncomfortable because when I created Smash and Tess, I said this, and maybe this is the first time I'm vocalizing it on a podcast or anything, that I wanted to be a positive space. I wanted to be a cheerleader. I wanted to be that place that would pick you up. And so, but I've also recognized that, and so I would put this on right all the time, like the smile and I think that in these book breakthrough moments of me telling people things, I feel very supported. And I suppose I should have learned that lesson. We talked about the NICU then, but I didn't, and I continued to hold it in and hold it. And I also think there's a fertile time to share when sometimes for me I'm not ready, you know. And so for my Crohn's, like with the NICU, I wasn't ready. I was ready in the moment, then I was not ready for like a while, and then now I'm ready. But with Crohn's, I was embarrassed, and the reason I call it invisibles is because you know it's not cool. Like you have diarrhea, then you have constipation, you're bleeding, it is not sexy. It is something as a woman who, you know, we don't even like to admit that we poop, is not something that you want to be sharing. I remember telling my husband when we met and started dating, I was like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? And I was like, I have this thing. And I was so embarrassed. And he was like, okay. He's like, that's okay. I was like, okay. Cause it was just like, so much stigma. And I really battle with sounding, I don't want to whine and I don't want to be ungrateful and I don't want to ever be followed because I'm somehow attention seeking. And so I really struggle with opening up and I want to crawl under a shell and like hide. I'm so uncomfortable. I shared a few weeks ago some of the negative things trolls were saying to me, and I was wearing my bathing suit. And there's a post where I was just like, you know, F you and F that, and I don't care. I did not expect people to react the way they did, and I wanted to hide. I was actually posting it because I was like, this is a cute bathing suit. Like, I'm selling it tomorrow. You should buy it. Like, and instead I got this like outpouring of women being like, you're beautiful. Like, don't listen to that. And I was like, oh God. And I was like, but that's not why I did it. Like, I was like, and then I was like, wait a minute. It's okay. Cause I bet other women feel like this. And I was like, wait, I should be okay with having this conversation and I should push myself. And so with Crohn's, you know, I was quiet a long time. I was quiet all through my 30s, honestly. And part of that's because I was in trauma through that. I was sick, really sick. I was embarrassed. I couldn't get healthy for a while, couldn't get pregnant with my second kid for a while. I wasn't in a place, but now I recognize that sharing and opening, and I love creating poetry. That's the first time I've ever shared a poem. And I was so uncomfortable. I was like, wow, people are going to think I'm stupid. Like, people think I'm so confident. I am not. Like, it's a risk and it's scary. And I was just waiting for one person to be like, okay, like something mean. And not one person did. And, you know, what I realized is that people just don't want to feel alone. And if you can share just your story with them, and it's important that we as creators do that, because it's like, you are seeing the highlights. You guys don't see me in the middle of the night screaming and crying and my husband rubbing my back and panicking. You don't see that. And I wanted people to know that I'm here, and I see, and the amount of people that send me audio messages that suffer with Crohn's and colitis now, because it is actually so prevalent. People have no idea how many people have this. So many people have this in Canada alone that now they're like, oh, sure, I can reach out to Ash and ask her. And I'm not a doctor, but I'm like, sure, let's talk about it. Are you bleeding out of your anus? Like, I don't, I'm like, let's talk about it. I'm not like, don't be embarrassed and don't be ashamed. And so I realized that I have a bit of a responsibility there, and I feel good about that. I don't feel as uncomfortable as I used to. But I think it's important. I think it's important that we open up those lines of communication and that we have that conversation. So I'm going to keep sharing. And like, I posted me singing on the guitar with my family. That was like, if you see the progression of where like the last couple of months, I've been really, to your point, trying to find my joy. And so my joy is like writing poetry and writing and singing music. And I don't claim to be the best, but like, who cares? You know, like,
No, who cares?
who
Yeah,
cares?
and that in itself is a form of self-care. That is doing something for you that's helping you to fill your cup, to show up good in other places of your life. And I think that's so beautiful. And by sharing those things, you're inspiring others because I love to play guitar and I've not played since I gave birth to my
See?
twins.
Yeah.
And you are inspiring me to pick it up. I remember seeing a video of you playing with your family and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I haven't done that in years. Like what is my problem?"
Yeah.
And now you're inspiring me even more to get back to it.
Well, and I didn't post it because I was like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. But I was like, how fun is this? I'm singing. This is my grandpa's song. I'm singing with my mom and my stepdad, and we're rocking out. And I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, God,
Truly.
and like, I need to take my own advice because that's part of the ethos of Smash and Tess is we just don't take ourselves so seriously. Like we don't.
Love it.
That's what Smash and Tess is about. It's playfulness. It's having fun. It's enjoying like your body, your life, your now. And it's like if I can't do that too, then like, am I really walking the walk? And so, yeah, I've been pushing myself. We'll see what else comes
I love it.
from it. But you know, for now, I'm enjoying it, and I feel, um, I do feel tired, and I don't feel completely healed right now from a health perspective. So it is challenging to 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 like be an advocate for something when you're tired, but
Totally.
I realized similar to you that like once you do it, you're like, oh, that actually filled my cup. Like that actually, it felt like, oh, I was in the worst flare and it was World IBD. I swear to God, the universe was punishing me or something. It was like World IBD day. I was totally fine. I had a flare on Saturday night. I was dead sick. I was so sick. I woke up and I had promised already to do a podcast or Instagram live with my friend Brianne who runs Crohn's and Colitis Collective. And I was like, I can't do this. I'm so tired. I can't do this. And I was like, same thing. I'm like, okay, I said I was going to do it. I'm going to get on. I'm going to do it. And then I did it. And I felt like, yes, like it gave me that, like, oh, I feel so much better now. And now I'm going to go collapse in my bed and sleep for the next 4 hours. But like, it does fill your cup. So yeah, you got to be honest and authentic to what it is that brings you joy. And I think that should be what we're all in pursuit of is like listening to be like, well, what is that? Like, what is that thing
Totally.
that's
I
burning
couldn't
just below the
agree
surface?
more.
Like, what is it, the thing that like you like, it's kind of, you're almost private about it because it's like special to you, but it brings you joy. Like, what is that thing?
Totally.
And then investigate it and see what
Yeah.
comes, you know?
And try it out. I think
Oh
that
yeah.
whole thing of like, what's the harm? What's the
Yeah.
worst thing that happens? Like, you hate it and you just stop.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us because really, truly, you have inspired me. Like, it's been, I think it was a couple of months ago you posted, or maybe a month
Yeah, it
ago
was like a month
with
ago.
your
Yeah.
guitar. And I was like, I've thought about it since. So thank
Oh,
you.
do it, girl. I want to see. I'm going to be following, waiting. We could do one of those stitches where we play together.
Yes, we'll go on a live. That is amazing. I have one more question for you, Ashley, and it kind of pertains to, like you've shared about your kids, you've shared about your health, you've
Yeah.
shared about your business, and those are all huge things that you are doing and things that are take capacity, they take time, and they take you being there. And I know for me to be a mom and to run a business and to have relationships and friendships outside of just my kids, I
Yeah.
need to have supports in place to make that happen.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what does the saying "it takes a village" mean to you?
Well, I mean, sometimes I like, well, for one, I have a very supportive husband. So like, I married him for many reasons, but the number one reason was that, he's my chill. So he's usually very chill. And I'm like, "Wah," like, so, you know, he takes good care of me, when I need to be taken care of. And so he's my village, but also like, I think honestly, my social media community is my village. And I don't care if I gain one more follower. I'm just like, I love my community. They're always show up for me. And I feel so supported and loved and cared for that I feel so much gratitude for that village. And then also just my family and my friends. And I don't have a lot of friends. I live in America. Most of my family is in Vancouver. And a lot of my friends are in Toronto. But the people that I have show up for me, and they are there. And my mom is a huge part of that, and my stepdad and my dad, and my best friends. Like I'm very lucky that I have people that support me. But I think the village is only a village if you're willing to ask for help. And that is something that I think as moms we really struggle with, and I do feel a lot of guilt, and it's working through that. And I've been really surprised. I've learned a really valuable lesson in the last month, which is if you, and it doesn't, you don't have to be open and raw with everybody, but if you show your underbelly, if you are courageous enough to really tell the truth and be open and ask for help, people will show up for you in ways that you didn't imagine. And I've always been that person for other people. I always want to make things better. I always want to help, and I want to take away pain and fear and anxiety in any way I can. I will. And letting other people do that for me has been really special, and something that I've never done, and I won't forget. And so it's people have really showed up for me in the last little while in ways that I can't even begin to describe. So I think that village is really just like, who can you open up to, and just lay it on the line, just lay it on the line, and ask for what you need. Like,
totally.
Just what do you need? And sometimes you don't know. So it's like vocalizing it to be like, God, I just want to be left alone, and I want to watch Vanderpump for 4 hours. Like, if that's what you need, say it out loud, say it out loud and ask for help. Like, and then you can, it's amazing how quickly that helps. So that's it for me is, who are those people you can be really vulnerable with, and surrounding yourself with those people.
Yeah, that resonates so much with me. I think asking for help is so difficult, and I don't know why we do it to ourselves. Like, we feel like we have to do everything ourselves. We feel like we can't share how we're feeling if it's something that's uncomfortable or not. I always laugh when you meet someone. Hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. That's how everybody's first sentence goes. And it's like, are you good? We have so much struggle sharing anything other than good.
Have you ever met one of those people where they're like, you feel they can see right through you?
Oh, yeah.
And then you start crying. You know what I'm saying? And like someone will be like, wait, but how are you? And you're like, all of a sudden you're like, I wasn't even upset, but you just made me upset. I'm like, you just opened something. And I think it's because like we do go through the motions, and we're not okay all the time, and I think that's why we have this conversation amongst women so often, is because we all are struggling, right? We're all struggling, and we all don't want to ask for help. So we're always like, how do you do it? And how do you do it? And like, we're all just like fascinated by it because it's not something we're comfortable with,
It's so, so true. But I think that's why it's so great to be able to share that with other people, that we're not always all okay. And that is okay in itself.
Well, and also like my mom brought this up in her book. When is the last time someone said to your husband, how do you balance it all? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just never been said, right? We don't ask that question to men. We do not. It's strictly for women because, and I don't know what I don't know what that means. I think we can we could pontificate on that for another 2 hours, but
for sure.
But yeah, it's fascinating that we wear, right, that weight. We carry that weight. It's because I think it's years and years and years and years, right, of living in a certain way, or having those norms associated with what it means to be a mom. In business, or, following our dreams. So I think there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot to unpack.
A ton. Well, Ashley, to end, I have some rapid fire questions for you. Is that okay?
Ooh, I love rapid fire. Hit me.
Okay, just a few. What's your go-to comfort food?
Pop-Tarts.
Oh, what kind?
Strawberry.
I love pop. Oh, so good with the sprinkles.
Not heated, cold. Yeah, I got the stash in my pantry.
Oh my gosh, I might stop on my way home. What's one hobby or activity that you wish you had more time for?
Dirt bike riding.
Oh, I'm so intrigued that you do that. That's incredible. What's your guilty pleasure?
Vanderpump Rules.
Hell yeah. Favorite Smash and Tess piece right now?
Ooh, I'm going to go with the Harper pants.
Ooh, that's one thing I don't have.
Oh, girl, you need it. But they're on pre-order, but they're coming in July, and then you need a pair.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song or artist right now?
I am vibing. Okay, I never liked country, and all of a sudden I'm weirdly into country.
No
So
way.
that's weird. My husband can't figure it out. So I'm a huge hip hop fan and
Oh
R&B.
my
I love
God.
R&B. So I
Yeah.
would say I think I'm loving Jason Isbell right now, just like
Mhm.
the vibe, and I'm loving SZA
Okay.
R&B. I'm vibing.
Amazing.
A
I
Summer
love.
Walker, love it.
I love. What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Snuggling my babies.
Oh, I love that. What a perfect way to end. Ashley, thank you so much for being here. Um, just to finish off, where can people find you? Follow along?
Yeah, you can follow me personally at a Freeborn, it's like A as in Ash, Freeborn, or at Smash Tess. That's our handle. It's also our website, smashtess.com, smashtess.ca. And we're on TikTok. Well, we are on TikTok. I'm always making
Okay.
an ass of myself on there. And just generally, you can follow me to be entertained on either of those channels.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all of your insight and expertise.
Thanks, Ariana. That was super fun.